Thanks for sticking with us here on New York Living. Occasionally, we like to take a little serious look at something that is happening to everyday New Yorkers, and so many of us are still recovering from Monday's deadly shooting at a high-rise on Park Avenue. It was the deadliest gun attack in New York City in 25 years.
Yeah, the incident has triggered feelings of anxiety and uncertainty. Joining us to talk about how to manage these feelings is board-certified psychotherapist Dr. Robi Ludwig.
Welcome. My mother gets it wrong, so don't worry.
Thank you for joining us. We love the clarity you bring us when something like this really affects the entire city.
Yeah.
So 345 Park Avenue, sort of broad daylight.
Yes.
I know you have a personal connection to it. How do we, if you don't mind sharing what the personal connection is, and how do we deal with the aftermath?
So, you know, I have a family member who works for the NFL and actually left before this happened, and still she was shaken and shocked, and it's uncomfortable. And what NFL has done is that they are allowing people to work from home for 3 days just to get their bearings, which makes sense.
And just a quick update for folks who may not be aware, this high-rise on Park Avenue houses a lot of businesses. One of the more famous ones is the National Football League. That's their headquarters. Yeah. So this happens. I also know someone who was interning at the NFL. And it's almost like we get desensitized to this because there was a human walking with a rifle, essentially. I'm not well versed in guns, and nothing.
I think we see so much in the city, and we don't think of people walking around with guns, not in New York City. Right. So, you know, it may not register in the same kind of way. After this incident, I don't know. But really, when a shooter behaves in this way and so many lives are affected, it really affects the psyche of all of us. We all feel it as New Yorkers. This is not the time to defund police who run towards, you know, the trauma and try to help and protect those who are in danger. And a very normal reaction, whether you were there or even if you're just seeing it and learning about it, is you have acute anxiety. And this is where you might feel in shock, numb, angry, fearful, and there's a hypervigilance that can set in, and that's when your body is seeing danger everywhere and is a little skittish. And post-traumatic stress disorder can take place 3 months after an event, and that's when there's a reliving of the event, and you try to avoid anything that reminds you of where the trauma happened. So,
no, and it's hard enough for us as adults to process this, right?
Yeah.
And go through these emotions. How do we help kids with what they just saw?
This is such an important question because kids get their emotional bearings from their parents. So if you are a parent in this situation, you want to state what's going on in a calm way. You first can ask them, what have they heard? What do they know? And you want to be there to correct any distortions because people can get, you know, information that's incorrect and scary. So you want to correct that. And you want to remind them that people are really working on creating a safe environment. Every time this happens, we do learn from it. And to keep routines regular. And if, you know, kids feel they can ask their parents about it, they tend to feel more calm and safe.
And to that point, I think talking to young folks about where they get their information and sort of keeping it to these are the facts, which I realize can be difficult in this day and age. But once they've gotten there, what can we do to sort of help ourselves as a community and help ourselves as a family to work through these times?
We first need to acknowledge what our feelings are and give ourselves some grace. If you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling angry, if you're feeling worried about yourself, all these feelings are normal. And you want to do things that are good for you. So you want to exercise, you want to make sure that you are being kind to yourself and giving yourself moments to maybe work from home or, you know, decide whatever is in your best interest, breathing exercises. And also so important, turning to the community, you know, and talking about it, talking to a friend, community groups that deal with these kinds of crises. And also businesses now are getting involved and trying to remind folks about protocol that is in place, and they're also giving shooter training. They're considering that now, given what happened. So that's kind of a scary place to be, but maybe necessary.
Yeah. Dr. Robi, always welcomed to hear your thoughts.
Thank you so much for having me. An important topic.
We appreciate this. And by the way, if you at home, if you're feeling trauma, anxiety, and need help, call or text the Crisis Lifeline at 988, or you can chat online at 988lifeline.org for free, confidential crisis counseling. Also, Dr.